and Aiden Swearingen, class of 22. We also have Anna Colucci, Lehigh University coordinator, and Lieutenant Colonel John Abella, professor of military science. So I turn it over to them.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is John Abella. I am the current professor of military science for the Steel Battalion. It is extremely exciting to be on the line with everybody, looking at the participants. Shout out to all of you who have been part of this great battalion, either the Leopard Battalion or the Steel Battalion. Brigadier General Komar, colonels, lieutenant colonels, fellow officers, friends and family. It's great to be on the line tonight. Joining with me is my battle buddy, Master Sergeant Lyman Lengjota, our military science senior instructor and our senior enlisted advisor, as well as our university coordinator, Mrs. Anna Colucci. I know Daishan and Jade will introduce a couple of our cadets, but I just want to give them a quick shout out as well. Cadet Hannah Burlein and Cadet Aiden Swearingen. So thank you all for joining us. I'll be brief, about 15 minutes. The purpose of my part of the presentation is to give all of you an update on the affairs of the Steel Battalion. I think you will be very proud of all that this team has been able to accomplish since you've been gone from either Easton or the Lehigh Valley. We certainly are very proud to be a flagship program, not only in the Northeast, but the nation. And the best way I know how to kick that off is with a video. So bear with me as I share my screen and share a video.
Established in 1919, the Steel Battalion has been producing the nation's finest leaders for 100 years. A Steel Battalion cadet is made of discipline, hard work, perseverance, moral courage, integrity, dedication, grit, and a will to never quit. We honor those who have served before us and those who continue to serve. We are scholars, athletes, and leaders. We are each other's mentors, battle buddies, teammates, best friends, classmates. We are a family, the Steel Battalion family. We foster a culture of excellence. We have a growth mindset and competitive spirit. Complacency is not an option. We never settle. No matter if it's in the classroom, at PT, in tactical training, in our academics, our clubs, our sports teams, our social organizations, we lead by example. We continue to raise the standard for ourselves and our peers. We are selfless. We are critical thinkers. We are problem solvers. We are team players. Every day, we challenge each other to become the best leaders we can be. We are strong. We are mentally and physically tough. We train to lead. We fight to win. We are Steel Battalion. Forged in fire.
All right, awesome. Okay, so hopefully that got everybody hyped up. I know I always get hyped up when I see it. Thank you again for this time. We are the Steel Battalion, and we are so pleased and proud to have 11 different schools within our area of operation. And one of those central pillars, of course, is Lafayette College. And we have an exciting and great group of cadets who continue year after year to commission out of Lafayette and do some great things. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. Leading off with our vision, mission, and values. I know most of you have been very proud to have been part of the Leopard Battalion for a very long history, 71 years as an active Army ROTC battalion, even further down to the mid-1800s with all the great training and support to the nation. Within the Steel Battalion, that has certainly been integrated into our legacy, our history, and the very proud cadets who walk through all of our halls across all of our campuses. As I stated earlier, we are a flagship program. not just in the Northeast, but in the nation. I think last year we finished second out of 42 programs for the General MacArthur Award. So we're a finalist. And this past year we finished first place in the National Army ROTC Ranger Challenge Program, matriculating to West Point to compete at the Sandhurst competition. So we have a very strong leader development program, a character development program, and you can bet that our cadets are aiming to achieve very high standards to become the very best leaders for our nation for the total force. I've got a great group of cadre. Some of them are on the line today. And what's very special about our program continues to be empowering the cadet chain of command in our leader development processes. We are known for our 4 C's, and we are a best practice within our brigade, and that's for the Cadet Leader Development Program. Our focus and relationships with the entire community in the Lehigh Valley, an outstanding diverse cadre, and then lastly, our organizational culture, which I'll talk about in a little bit. We have been growing over the last 20 years, which has been very good. We continue to meet our mission. You can see in the upper right-hand corner there, just kind of by the numbers, our cadet enrollment is over 120 cadets. When I joined the program 3 years ago, it was at about 70. Our total commission mission every year is 16. And this past year, we commissioned 23 cadets. And then we have, in addition to Lehigh as our host institution, sorry to say that, we have 10 additional crosstown schools. And you'll see later in the brief that we really treat Lafayette College as what we call a mini host. I know Jade will talk a little bit about that structure.
John, before you continue, I just want to let you know you're not sharing the right screen for us to see the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. 1 second. I apologize. Thank you, Jade.
Perfect.
All right, there we go. Does that work? Perfect, thank you. So I'm on the vision slide. I apologize for that. But in the upper right-hand corner by the numbers, I won't rehash any of it, but 65% of our cadet corps are contracted, which is very good. The majority of those contracts are in our junior and senior class. So we have very good retention and we have very good progression. We're very proud of our cadets. Majority of them are in STEM majors, which is very important to the Army, but not to discount all the other great majors that are out there. You can see on that pie chart kind of what our breakdown looks like right now of those 120 cadets. Yes, the preponderance of our cadets are at Lehigh, but in the aggregate, that's only 40%. So we very much count on every participating crosstown school that comprises the Steel Battalion to help us achieve both quality, diversity, and commissions into the total force. All right, going to the next slide here. Hopefully you can see this montage of pictures. We're very proud in the upper left-hand corner, and that's really what our culture is all about. So we are a values-based organization, developmental. I spent a couple of years at West Point as a tactical officer and an instructor in the Behavioral Sciences and Leadership Department, and really have leveraged a lot of that to bring here to the Steel Battalion. We value family, communication, hard work, and honor, and it's reflected every day in everything that we do, even through this pandemic, which we'll talk a little bit about. Our behaviors are tied to excellence in these 4 areas. Training, we have a robust military tactics training, and I'll ask my senior military science instructor to talk a little bit about that. I think you'll see that we have a very great focus on academic and academic achievement. Our cadets are year in and year out achieving above a 3.2, 3.3 cumulative average. Again, the community, we have great ties to the Bethlehem Steelworkers Union, the Armed Forces Support Club here on our campuses, Veterans Affairs, VFW, as well as the Lehigh Valley Military Affairs Council, which is a great center of gravity for veterans actions in the local area. And of course, we're Fit to Fight. As the Army transitions from the Army Physical Fitness Test to the Army Combat Fitness Test, our cadets have been part of that transition as well, which is focused more on cross-functional fitness. And, you know, to that end, our cadets are doing a great job. There's really no issues or problems that we see within our cadet corps. You might see that on media, but our cadets continue to rise to the challenge. Here in these pictures, I just want to highlight a couple things over the past couple years. The caliber of our cadets is growing, and it's growing exponentially. We've had increased national scholarships, and those 4-year and 3-year Army ROTC scholars, those are the same caliber of cadets that are going to the academy. Program ownership at Lehigh and across our crosstowns like Lafayette, we have great accessibility and opportunities for wonderful facilities. And part of that is, you know, a cultural ownership of what our cadets call home, a home away from home. We have the ability and flexibility to send our cadets to a lot of great crucible events. And you'll see that reflected. This picture in the upper right is at White Sands Missile Range. Some of you have gone and done the wonderful Bataan 26-mile death march in memoriam for all those great generation fighting out in the Pacific. Additionally, right below that, some of our Lafayette grads competing at the Army 10-miler. And our captain that year is now Lieutenant Dave Sadbury, engineer officer at Fort Carson, Colorado, who that team did very well. And we continue to be in the top 10 nationally out of all ROTC programs. I mentioned we went to West Point, and we've earned a spot to West Point 2 years in a row as a first place Ranger Challenge team, which we're all very proud of. That represents the top 16 programs in ROTC who get to compete nationally and against international teams. Unfortunately, this last year, we weren't able to compete due to COVID-19. At the end of the day, much of you will remember our field training exercises, the team building, the leadership labs, great PT programs. We're doing all of that, and we're fighting to train. Master Sergeant Langjota, any comments here?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll be real quick. First of all, I'd like to thank the Lafayette, Janine, and Jade for hosting this and inviting us to participate with the alumni, retirees, vets, parents, friends, and families of the great Lafayette family. So I'm just gonna tell you what I bring to the table, and this team is a wealth of experience. So my operational experience that I bring recently, I was a first sergeant in the 173rd Infantry Brigade Combat Team for 3 separate formations: in a headquarters element, in a firing battery, and a cavalry troop. So with all that being said, it's a lot of experience that I am willing to dump on these cadets, and to see that they have all the tools necessary to become the premier leaders of this great nation. And with that being said, sir, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Top. All right, I won't kill you with this PowerPoint chart, but I want you to know ROTC has certainly changed over the years. In fact, we were with our commanding general today. And what's great is we continue to look and assess our leader development model. But you know, the takeaway here is a cadet who's on either a 4-year or a 2-year leader development journey is getting a lot of great training, getting a lot of great leadership development in terms of character, the moral ethical domain, certainly being challenged to be the most fit. We start with followership, we get into team leadership. The junior year, like many of you remember, before going to camp, which is now Fort Knox, Kentucky, is focused on tactical leadership. We've got some great cadre, notably captains and majors from the 75th Ranger Regiment and the Ranger Training Battalion. And then that leads into what I teach, organizational leadership. And again, what we're very proud of is the cadets really own this program. From the cadet battalion commander, which, oh, by the way, is a Lafayette MS4, Cadet Sam Fishbein, to our operations officer, who is a Lafayette MS4 and going aviation. Sam's going infantry. Those are our 2 best cadets in this program. And they're in the 2 of 3 most consequential positions of our cadet battalion. This is my last slide, and I'm going to pass it over, but like every organization out there, we've had our challenges as we continue to fight through COVID-19 and the pandemic. The U.S. Army Combined Arms Center Commanding General said the 2 most consequential things we do as leaders is lead well and develop others. And so our motto has been fight to train this past year, and we have done it in partnership with all of our schools who, with their trust, have allowed us to train in person with the appropriate COVID mitigation protocols, much like the Army is doing right now. You can see our priorities, which is protecting the health and welfare of our cadets. We are focusing on supporting their academic achievement as we realize this virtual online environment is not the easiest. So we've given them time back. We've formed cadet tutoring programs, study halls. We've got an active mentorship program. We challenge them to continue their individual fitness as we build cohesive teams. And we're doing that through some innovative ways, through social media, online, some great applications, as well as coming together in person at the squad level and below in what we're calling squad and platoon cocoons. We still get out there to compete. We're not shy about that. And we don't want to take away from the rigor of our leadership and professional development. So those times in between, we are engaging. Our presence and cadet presence matters, but we put a lot on the cadet chain of command to also figure out some of these complexities. I think through this, they're building a lot of resilience, and they're getting a lot of leadership development through the 8-step training model, their troop leading procedures, the operations process, and then getting that down through an operations order to their companies, squads, and into the individual cadet. We still have done some great community service events, which we understand is our shared responsibility. We've been able to get out to all the campuses to do Patriots Day. We offered a great Veterans Week program, hybrid, virtual, and in-person, and we continue to promote the veterans in our community because, we want our cadets to realize what that is all about. What we are very excited about, I'll continue to brag, we are a flagship program. We talked about the increase in the national scholarships. We have a great diversity of cadets, and that is reflected in how these cadets are branching. The majority of our cadets this past year got their #1 choice, and that's through the Army's new talent-based branching model. And they're getting their component of the choice. So whether they want active duty, reserves, or National Guard, they're getting it. And that's because of some good coaching and some great discipline initiative on their part. Jade is going to talk about room and board incentives, but we've got 4 room and board packages at 4 different colleges, which continue to attract a lot of talent. Talked about his diversity. We've got a great diverse staff. And then, Jade's going to talk a little bit about the feel of Lafayette College. We've done a lot at Lafayette College in terms of teaching, decentralizing our PT program. I won't steal that from her and the cadets, but it really is exciting. And then we talked about COVID. In closing, really, we have been known as a program that has role modeled great organizational culture, values reflect our behaviors, and winning breeds excellence. And that's what shows through all these cadets. I'm super proud of them, and I'm super proud to be part of Lafayette, the Steel Battalion, and the great legacy here within the Lehigh Valley. I'll turn it back over to you, Jade.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. So both Daishan and I are going to just talk quickly about Lafayette, more in terms of the room and board scholarship and also the Charlie Company. But before we get started, I'm just going to kind of bring us to what we are excited about for this year and also what we've been working on since, one moment. Can you all see the screen? Wonderful. So the 2 main things that we're really excited about is the room and board scholarship, and then Daishan's going to talk about the Charlie Company, and then the other 2 things that we are generally excited about because we are trying to grow the program. But within the past few years, we've noticed that a lot of one of the reasons why we wouldn't be able to get a lot of recruits is because of the fact that room and board is not included in the ROTC scholarship. The ROTC scholarship is very substantial and not only covering the tuition, but they also have a stipend for students in terms of living, covering the cost of books and other materials. And so what it comes down to is that the room and board is excluded from that. And so at Lafayette, starting in this freshman class of 2024, students have been awarded a room and board scholarship in addition to their ROTC scholarship. So with a student who qualifies for ROTC and also qualifies for this room and board scholarship, in which we are internally calling it the March and Decker. So the March and Decker scholarship originated from the two individuals who have earned the Chief of Staff title at the White House. And so we wanted to honor them. And so with that, we're calling it the March and Decker. But when students apply to Lafayette, they are going to be not only tagged as an ROTC recruit, but if they meet the qualifications of the ROTC of the March and Decker scholarship, then their room and board will also be covered. And so what I mean by meeting the qualifications is that at Lafayette institutionally, we cover 100% demonstrated need. And so at admissions, what that means is that any amount of money that a student needs to attend Lafayette, we will cover 100%. And so if a student comes into Lafayette with a need that is greater than that need that includes the room and board, we will cover that under the need-based aid. So that's already been done for. But for a student who maybe does not qualify for need-based aid, in the past, they would have had to pay for room and board out of their pocket. But this year and going forward for the 4-year recipients, that is now covered. And so that is what we call the March and Decker room and board scholarship. And so an individual with strong grades, strong academic performance, they will get the room and board covered for with a 4-year scholarship, so that regardless of the student's ability to pay for Lafayette, they will have a full cost of attendance covered, which is really exciting and wonderful. And so we are in the works of trying to see if we can get that for our 3-year scholarships as well. So some things are in the works for that, but that is one of the biggest hurdles that we've had to overcome, particularly with the budget of Lafayette. But we're very excited about that. And then I'm gonna also pass it on to Daishan to talk about the Charlie Company and the formation of a little bit more independence from Lehigh.
Thanks, Jade. Yeah, getting that independence from Lehigh is always good. I mean, any more separation we can have, what we want as a Lafayette community. No, just playing. So my name is Daishan Alexander. As introduced earlier, admissions counselor here at Lafayette in my 2nd year, and also as part of being admissions, helping out with ROTC and kind of applicants that come through, exploring that route for their college process and kind of helping them out through the process. So like Jade had mentioned, a lot of things that we are excited about and big things that, go on with ROTC are just greater things that we can talk about as Lafayette admissions team, and Charlie Company is one of those. So prior to Charlie Company being established for our students to be doing their training and their classes, they were traveling a commute to Lehigh University, 4 to 6 trips each week. And if you know the Lehigh Valley, alums, I don't know when you've been back here where you live currently, but driving down 22, it may say in your GPS it's 20 minutes, but with traffic and how things are, it's never really 20 minutes. So that commute being, something for our students to have to do definitely takes a chunk out of their day. But being able to be a campus like Lafayette, where, we have a lot of top facilities, a lot of areas for students to be able to do these right here in their backyard. That's what I think allowed for Charlie Company to be established. So as you can see here, the Charlie Company footprint would encompass not just Lafayette, but also Northampton Community College and Moravian College's ROTC programs. So allowing Lafayette to then host, some of the training and activities that our cadets will be doing. So now with Charlie Company being there, they only have to take 1 to 3 trips a week to the host station of Lehigh University. So just being able to, like we had said, as ROTC kind of grows more at Lafayette, and we have these new exciting things to roll out, that only is going to
I think we lost Daishan for a little bit. Okay, so okay.
No. Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, cool. I don't know where I froze at, but exciting things happening. Charlie Company, for sure, giving our students the opportunities to fulfill their ROTC requirements kind of right in their backyards.
And then I just wanted to introduce and pass it on to our students, our global ambassadors, Hannah and Aiden. They're just going to do a quick introduction of themselves and just a brief story of why they came to Lafayette under an ROTC scholarship.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Hannah Burlein. I'm a current junior at Lafayette College. I'm a biology major. I'm honored to say that I'm a 4-year National Army ROTC scholarship applicant as well. So I contracted my freshman year, and obviously now I'm an MS3. Also at Lafayette College, I'm on the women's swim and dive team. I'm a sprinter, and I also swim the butterfly. On campus, I'm also part of the Tri Delta sorority and my political party's club. I'm also took the position of Gold Bar Ambassador along with Aiden Swearingen, who's also an MS3. So we are able to work with the admissions team, Jade and Dyson, to connect possible ROTC cadets to current ROTC cadets to get them involved in the program, see what it's all about, get them interested, and hopefully connect them with Jade and Dyson so they are connected to the admissions team as well. Quickly, I just want to say why I chose Lafayette. I chose Lafayette because I wanted a school that gave me all the possibilities of the balance between school, ROTC, as well as my swimming career, which I wanted to continue in college. So I was first drawn to Lafayette because of the swim team. Grateful to know Jim Daly as my swim coach. He's a great man. I then discovered the ROTC program at Lafayette College and the Steel Battalion. Honored to know Lieutenant Colonel Bella. He's a great man as well. Given me a lot of experience opportunities so far. And I also was encouraged to come to Lafayette because of the great biology program, and hopefully it will allow me to be accepted to PA school and have a career in the Army as well. I am eager to answer your questions, but first I'm going to hand it off to Aiden Swearingen so he can introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Hannah. So as Hannah mentioned, my name is Aiden Swearingen, also class of 2022, so a junior MS3 at Lafayette as well. I'm majoring in civil engineering, and I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. So like Hannah, I'm also a Gold Bar Ambassador, and I'll also kind of give a brief intro, I guess, as to why I chose Lafayette and the Steel Battalion. So first, for starters at least, I was looking for, a small, close-knit community school. So naturally, I lean more towards the liberal arts side of the application process, I guess. And that brought me to, I guess, have Lafayette on my radar. And then a couple deal breakers I had. I wanted to do civil engineering for sure, and then also ROTC for sure. Like those were deal breakers for me. So if I was going to go to any university, any college, that was definitely what I wanted to do. So that ultimately brought me to Lafayette, and I'm pretty excited to say that I've really enjoyed my time here since. And I guess before I hand it off to Jade again, I'll just say. Something that I didn't really understand prior to coming to Lafayette was, I guess, the close-knit community that Lafayette itself has. Of course, Hannah can attest to all of this. I would assume she mostly agrees with everything I'm saying here. But of course, as the Steel Battalion, we all are on the same team, same organization. We all look out for each other. But there's something, I guess, unique that comes with being from Lafayette College, having the 15 to 20 cadets, as we have now, at least, looking out for each other on a day-to-day basis. So that's about it. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to invite Janine back up. Okay, go for it.
All righty, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed hearing from our various components of our ROTC program, but I imagine that some of you may have questions, so we'd be happy to open it up for questions. You can feel free to take yourself off of, hiding your video if you want to show your face. You can use the chat feature to ask questions, or if you're not familiar with the chat feature, you can raise your hand as well, and I can call on you. I imagine somebody must have a question.
I do.
Okay, go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. This is Major General Dennis Lates, U.S. Army retired. I'm a Lafayette grad of 71. And I wonder specifically how many cadets are enrolled in Army ROTC at Lafayette and how many are on scholarship?
Hey, sir, how you doing? Sorry I missed you in the opening remarks. This is Lieutenant Colonel Abella. Currently, we have 17 enrolled cadets at Lafayette, part of the Steel Battalion, and 2/3 of those cadets, so close to 14, are on a national scholarship.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's a question in the chat. It says, was what you mentioned that Lafayette Army ROTC scholarship recipients have room and board covered by the college?
Yes. So if they do not need financial aid, so need-based aid, then if they are a four-year recipient, their room and board will be covered by the college.
Paul Toohey, class of 65. How many cadets are commissioned each year?
Hey, sir, how are you? Lieutenant Colonel Abella again. So this past year, we commissioned 23. We're on track to commission 16, and actually that'll be a low number for us. The year after, we're on target to commission 30. I'm very adamant and happy to say that every cadet that started in their junior year has commissioned. And the majority of our cadets go throughout the total force. I think active duty is still a very popular option. And just quickly chatting with General Komar, so is combat arms. Not only for infantry, aviation, field artillery, and armor, but cyber is also up there. We had our first lieutenant branch cyber this past year, and engineers, medical service, and military intelligence still are very popular as well. Over.
Good news. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a word in here?
Sure thing, Bob.
Yeah, Bob, I just unmuted. First, I was trying to send a message to General Komar. Yes, my son was in class of 85. That takes care of him. I really enjoyed my time at Lafayette. I spent 23 years in the Army, retired as a colonel. Would have stayed longer if they were going to promote me, but I peaked out. And keep up the good work.
Hi, this is Fred Benson, and Bob Edwards and I played lacrosse together for a while, way back.
Oh, yeah.
My dad graduated in 26, and he knew General Decker. He was 2 years behind Decker at Lafayette. I, too, made a career out of it, as Bob did. And the one thing that really gave me a jump start on life and in the military was I was able to learn how to fly at Braden Field under the auspices of the ROTC program while I was a junior. Is that still a possibility for ROTC students to get flight training in college?
Hey, sir, how you doing? The short answer is there is no curriculum flight training as part of Army ROTC, but that doesn't preclude cadets to continue to pursue civil air certifications outside during their extracurriculars. But that sounds like a really fun time. Over.
Yep.
We did have.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Richard Basco. A question. Do Lafayette ROTC students also join fraternities or sororities?
Well, sir, so I don't believe Aiden is in a fraternity, but yes, I'm in a sorority at Lafayette College as well.
Thank you.
Let me jump in here quickly. The host has blocked all of our videos, so we can't see the faces. Could the host please turn us back on? Thank you.
You should be able to turn your videos on. I did disable that.
Not mine.
Not mine. No, not
mine.
Nor mine either.
Sorry, we'll work on getting that unblocked. I have a question for Hannah, considering you're a Lafayette student, a student athlete, ROTC, and in a sorority. Do you have any hours in the day, and how do you do all that?
I don't have a lot of free time, to be honest, when we're in semester at college, but the alarm goes off at 4:45 a.m. And I'm happy to get up, go to training, go to classes, go to swim, possibly see my sorority sisters, do homework, and then go to bed and do it all again, because I'm constantly motivated by my battle buddies and my swim teammates and my sisters to continue doing what I'm doing. So no time, but I'm happy to do it. It's inspiring and great time.
Nice.
I do have a question. This is Ron Romick, class of 68. As let me begin by saying, under the category of truth in advertising, at one point in my career, the Army sent me to Lehigh University ROTC staff. And, yes, in its infinite wisdom. The question I have, however, is there still an active Scabbard and Blade Society as part of the program?
Hey, sir, Lieutenant Colonel Bella, congratulations on your assignment to Lehigh, number one. Number two, unfortunately, there is not still an active Scabbard and Blade company, but those Scabbard and Blade awards and all the accolades are proudly hung throughout all of our halls on the mountaintop.
So question in the chat says, does Lafayette allow cadets to wear uniforms to graduation?
Yeah, I sent a note to Captain Marissa Pace there, but yes, in fact, I don't want to steal from Hannah or Aiden, but the cadets at Lafayette certainly wear their uniforms with pride. And I think a good transition point, I want to introduce Lieutenant Dave Sadvery. Dave is the class of 2019. He was the #1 cadet, distinguished military graduate from Lafayette, and he was the battalion commander for the Steel Battalion. Dave's currently on active duty at Fort Carson as an engineer. Dave, I know I did some of the introduction, but can you tell the alumni a little bit about what you're doing?
Sure. Thank you for that. Apologize, I joined a little late. Kind of got distracted, and we're in 2 time zones away, so I kind of lost track of time. I'm currently a platoon leader for one of the platoons in our sapper company in 4th Engineer Battalion at Fort Carson. I branched as an engineer, and I'm currently in an EAB, so it's an echelons above brigade. So our role is mostly to support a brigade, so it's a little different than the BEB, the Brigade Engineer Battalion, that some of you might be more familiar with. But I recently took the platoon in August. I went to NTC with my platoon in October into November. And then we're kind of getting back into more routine train up for potentially a European kind of mission set this summer and another NTC rotation next fall. But to answer, I think the previous question was, are students able to wear their uniform to graduation? I actually just got this picture the other day. It's myself and now First Lieutenant Harvey Situ. It was a picture of us both at graduation. Harvey decided to wear his uniform for graduation. I decided not to wear mine, but we both got a picture with the Lafayette Leopard. So the answer is yes, you can.
Thanks, Dave. Good to see you.
Hey, John, this is Dave Comar. Quick question. You had responded to me in the chat, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody had the information. I didn't see on the slides, you weren't necessarily sharing the slides at the right time, sort of the makeup of the Corps cadets as far as male and female is concerned. In little known tidbit is that back in the mid 80s, 86 to 88, I believe, Lafayette College had the first female professor of military science in the Army, Lieutenant Colonel Margaret Nunes. And so I was just curious what the breakdown is and how that compares to other schools, and how you know, are we increasing that percentage or decreasing, and how's that looked over time?
Yeah, hey, thanks and good to see you, General Komar. We are above average in the Northeast. So a little over 120 cadets, over a third of our cadet corps are young ladies who are absolutely kicking butt and taking names. In fact, right after Lieutenant Dave Sadbury was another great battalion commander, a young lady who's a field artilleryman now, and getting on our way to go to the 82nd Airborne Division. But I think both Cadet Burlein and Cadet Swearingen will tell you about the diversity that we have, and not only with gender, but all types of diversity. One great thing about Lehigh and Lafayette being national draws for the national scholarship process is we're getting folks from the West Coast, Chicago, just like Aiden Swearingen in Kentucky. We've got a lot of great young men and women from all over the country. And we are well above the Army average of the gender breakdown, and we continue to do very well and grow year in and year out. Hope that helps, sir.
Oh, it does. And just a quick shout out to Fred Benson and Bob Edwards. Both of you guys went through ROTC and played lacrosse with my dad, Paul Komar, class of 60.
Oh, yeah, I wondered about that.
I'll be there.
Saw a picture of him the other day. He looks great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
We have a question from David Crosby, class of, I think it says 65. What is the basic ROTC scholarship?
Hey, Dave. So, you know, when you think about scholarships through the National High School Scholarship process, there are really only two. It's the 3-year Advanced Designee Scholarship, and it's the 4-year Army ROTC Scholarship. What's great about our program and other ROTC programs is we also do on-campus, campus-based scholarships, and really the minimum for a campus-based scholarship is probably a 2-year campus-based scholarship, which a cadet can win their junior year and get that applied for their junior and senior year. I hope that helps answer your question.
When I was a cadet in 1965 through 1967, we did receive a cash stipend while in the ROTC program. I understand the full scholarship ride, which would have been beautiful. What, if anything, do the cadets, particularly MS3s and MS4, receive?
Yeah, yes, sir. Hannah, Aiden, you want to take that and tell everybody how rich you guys are?
Yeah, I can get that, sir. So on top of the scholarship itself, we'll also receive a $420 direct deposit per month we're in school, at least for each contracted cadet. And then on top of that also is a $600 book stipend as well for book fees and whatnot.
Fred Benson and I got $27 a month.
Yep.
Right, Fred?
Yeah, right. But we never spent it, right?
Yeah.
Only
at the CHT.
What is the active duty requirement for getting the scholarship?
Sir, the active duty service requirement is really, it's an 8-year service obligation, which can be split up into 4 years of active duty and then 4 years of either the reserve, the National Guard, or the individual ready reserve. I think, which is great, a lot of our cadets and matriculated to officers still are going the active duty route, and many of them are staying in past their 4-year mark. So that's pretty a good metric for us as well.
I would like to say something. I'm quite impressed with the number of people on the screen who have served full careers. And I'm wondering if it would be of any interest to you to have reach out to those who have served full careers and have us write up a 1 or 2 page summary of where we were, what we did, and any thoughts about military career that you could use in your recruiting.
Would love that. Something that, sorry, John, for taking over. Something that both Daishan and I are doing on behalf of the admissions side with the tremendous help of Hannah and Aiden is to expand the ROTC program year by year. So our goal is to get more recruits and more scholarship winners every year as the program continues. And so I've inherited this program a few years ago, and Daishan joined me just after that. And so we would love to have some feedback, or we'd love to have any advice, or even a 1 or 2 page summary, or anything that you would suggest in terms of strengthening this program, but also encouraging more students to apply and to pursue Lafayette.
Colonel Benson, John Abella here. You know, what I really like about that is we have been doing a lot of great work through our alumni and alumni relations. But I have to say, primarily it's been through our active duty and continuing service officers, as well as some of the Lehigh cohorts. Unfortunately, I believe one of the casualties of the Leopard Battalion split to the Steel Battalion in '91 is that gap. And through that gap, we lost a lot of connective tissue to get back to opportunities like this. So with all of this great experience and names, sir, you bet that our team will ensure that we are engaged with you all, at least from the Steel Battalion side, so you can maintain your roots as part of this proud organization. Over.
Hey, John, if I can jump in just for a second. So I guess I'm a semi-interloper here among your group. I am not an alum, but my dad graduated undergrad in '56, graduate in '58, which I think was the last grad class, and then was on faculty there in the EE department for years. So I was born and raised, grew up in Easton, and I ended up back there as an ROTC cadre member in '84 to '87. So I served under Lieutenant Colonel Nunes, and Bob Edwards was one of my cadets, and there's some others on here who hopefully will remain silent about me in their opinion. But when I retired back at the end of 2003, I ended up at Lackawanna College up in Scranton, and just retired this past year, having served 8 years as their president. So I'd be really interested in hearing a little bit about how you've addressed the challenges of COVID in terms of your training, and you know, all of the difficulties that you have in you know, trying to deliver the amount and types of diverse training that you have to have. Have you been able to cover that with COVID restrictions?
Hey, thanks, sir, Colonel Volk, and thank you for your service, and congratulations on your retirement. You know, really back in March, I have to give a lot of credit to our cadre and our cadets who overwhelmingly were able to adapt to this. The great thing about our commanding general currently right now, Major General John Evans, he's provided a lot of flexibility to us at the program level. And one of the most important piece of advice was, you know, make sure you are doing right by your universities and your campuses to be within the state and local guidelines. We have built up so much trust and confidence with Lehigh, with Lafayette, and, you know, DeSales and Moravian, that they saw our unique commissioning requirements as, I don't want to say very easy, but it was not very hard to have them give us exemptions to continue to train. Specifically in our physical fitness, yes, we had to change and ensure that we were in squad and platoon level bubbles. I will say that Lehigh has graciously given all the cadets in the entire battalion 2 COVID tests at the beginning of the last semester to ensure that we could all come together. We did virtual and hybrid in-person classes, and we're on track to go back to in-person classes. The cadets today, in terms of how they visualize the curriculum, were very fast on the uptake to be very creative with the virtual curriculum. It's not just PowerPoint slides and discussion. You know, they're using gaming platforms, they're using current Army platforms, social media. Zoom is just one aspect of it to keep cadets engaged in the virtual classroom. We've also had to invest in some, you know, digital architecture for how we manage that, but luckily we were able to get the money for that. And the one thing that we fought for is to do our in-person labs. And the great thing about the in-person labs, it happens off of the Lehigh University campus. So there was kind of an out there in the city of Bethlehem, but they allowed us to come together in these cocoons. We made sure cadets had the attestation form. We tested everybody every day, and not every day, but for the training event with the thermometers, etc. And I can say we had no COVID spread in our battalion due to any of our training. Now, in all transparency, we've had 5 cadets that tested positive for COVID, but those were outside of the class, and those were outside of ROTC curriculum, sir.
A number of you have asked in the chat how you can help, etc. We're going to send an email to each of you tomorrow with a link for a brief survey just to let us know what you thought of this program. And in that, I will include contact information for Jade and Daishan so that you can reach out personally with your desire to help and in what manner.
I'm glad you did that because I was about to launch into a discussion, and Fred knows my experiences with General Hal Moore in Vietnam. But I'll answer that in my email.
Were there any other questions?
I just want to applaud the effort. This has really been very interesting. I've been away for quite a while, and to see it coming back to life is remarkable. And the sophistication of the training and dedication and the description by John is truly impressive. So I thank you all, and I attach great value to this time with you.
Well said.
I think Mark Volt rules. I just got to say that.
Pula.
If I may, let me mention, we talked about ROTC scholarships. In 1966, when I was the cadet colonel, I sat on a board to determine the first awardee for a ROTC scholarship at Lafayette. And at that time, it was based on merit and not on need. And I remember we all wanted to give it to this one destitute football player, but we had to give it to another guy who was obviously the better qualified. And I think for Fred and you others, I think I remember that the stipend back in the mid 60s was $50 a month. Now, the other thing I'd like to mention, I've talked about this before. I go up to Lehigh whenever I can each year to present the Lafayette College ROTC Award, the old Sheriff's Medal, if you remember it. I miss it every once in a while. I miss a year, but I still sponsor the award. Lafayette College is, John, Lafayette College is your only subordinate unit that has its old distinguished unit insignia. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it is it's a leopard rampant on a field of maroon and white. And I still have an example of that, but I suggested many years ago whether or not the Lafayette cadets would be allowed to wear that distinctive unit insignia in lieu of or in addition to the Steel Battalion. Now that you're forming a separate Charlie company over at Lafayette, maybe that's something they could wear when they're doing Charlie company stuff. Anyway, I just tossed that out there, that there is that little bit of memorabilia in the database. That's all. And I will try and be up there in April for the award ceremony. If I've had my shots by then, I'll definitely try and make it. And a shout out to my era of comrades, Dave Crosby, and who else was on there? I saw at least someone else from 65. So I have told Lafayette College for years when I went up there that I wish they would do more for ROTC scholarships. And finally, I'm delighted that they are doing this, especially the room and board scholarships. So this is great. So I put, and that video you showed of what they're doing in your training now, I couldn't pass. So keep up the good work. And this has been a great, great information session. Thank you so much.
If I may chime in for a moment to add on to that. Class of 96, and I also was a cadet with Richard Sweat, who's also on the call today. Richard and I were probably among the last cadets who had that same insignia, the leopard rampant, as well as the Lafayette College patch that we wore as cadets before we were fully integrated into the Steel Battalion. It wasn't even called the Steel Battalion until I think, I don't know, 94, something like that. But if there is interest to bring that back, I was actually going through a bunch of my old stuff, clearing out a basement, and I still have some of those insignia. If we want to reproduce them, I've got them, and I'd be happy to aid in that effort.
Awesome. Thanks, Colonel Jones and Bill. And to Colonel Jones's point, that distinctive unit insignia was given to our program as a gift 2 years ago, part of Dave Sadvery's class, one of his classmates, Brad Au, and it's prominently displayed with us at the mountaintop. But ROTC has given us the flexibility to wear unit insignia on the right shoulder sleeve, which I think is interesting. And Colonel Jones, I like your idea of potentially doing that for Charlie Company.
Hey,
So
hey, Bob Edwards. Bob Edwards, while you're on here, I found a photo of you.
A photo of me?
Yep. Do you see it on the screen? When I'm
no.
talking?
Is it the one from We Were Soldiers Once and Young?
Yeah, it's in if you look in the gallery view, you can see it when I turn off I saved it as my picture. It's a picture of you and John Herron.
Oh yeah.
At Fort Benning.
Now we were on the Maurice Rose headed to Vietnam, and we were going through the Panama Canal.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
So Tom Snyder here from Vallejo, California. I'm a Navy interloper here. When I was at Lafayette, there were 2 years of required ROTC.
Yep.
I was lucky to be a trumpet player. So my activity was with the band. And our band actually won several ROTC band awards during those 2 years. It was quite an extraordinary experience. I mean, I guess my persistent Army memory is the hours I spent literally spit shining my shoes for my uniform. You guys, you know that in the Navy, we actually sort of pride ourselves on our corroded badges, because that shows that we've been down to sea in ships. And I did indeed spend my active time. I was in the. So I had the experience of the 100% doctor's draft. I went to medical school after Lafayette. During the Vietnam era, 100% of doctors were being drafted. I knew I didn't look good in green, and I definitely did not want to sleep in the mud. And so the Navy had a certain appeal. And so I spent my 3 years active in the Navy, 1 year aboard destroyers in the South China Sea, providing naval gunfire support to the Marines. And they said we were the best shooters in the Navy at the time, and 2 years at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. Anyway, so I'm a naval interloper here, but I support this activity completely. And I'm sorry to be a late arriver, but Janine, thank you for emailing me at the last minute to let me know that I missed the message to get here.
No worries. Very happy to see you join us. There is a question in the chat that I want to make sure is covered. It says, does the program do anything to prepare cadets for taking on property books and maintenance as LTs? It was all tactical when I was in it.
Hey, so whoever asked that question, perfect, because I'm a logistics officer. So you can bet that in our MS4 organizational leadership class, we are ensuring platoon leaders know what it means to account and inspect property, properly maintain equipment, to include unit deployment records and organizational lists. But they get their, Dave can attest, they get their fair share of sustainment training as well.
I see that someone has dropped a Lafayette ROTC alumni group on Facebook link, which I'm super happy to see. Tom Snyder, who just spoke recently from the Navy side, actually, he and I have had some conversations earlier in the year, pre-pandemic. We were planning on holding a special program during reunion that would talk about, actually it was going to be this, ROTC, and talking about our program. We just decided to move it virtually since reunion didn't happen. But we are hoping that when we are able to have reunion in person on campus in the future, that we will, as part of reunion, have a reunion of everyone who's in ROTC and military, et cetera. So we all can get together. We were planning on bringing, memorabilia, et cetera. In fact, I had a few alumni who mailed me their memorabilia, but it's safely secure in the office. And when we can have in-person events, I think it would be a great opportunity to gather and meet one another in person, though this is also nice as well.
Janine, slightly off topic, but related, is how is the college handling veteran students as far as admissions, aid, help, and Colonel, John, are you able to use any of the veterans for your program?
Yeah, definitely throw that over to my admissions colleagues and John to speak to that.
Sir, I'll speak to the second half. We do have green to gold, so prior service, non-commissioned officers, specialists that have come over into our program. Unfortunately, we don't get as many because we're not as close to some of the major installations. We do have a lot of simultaneous members that are enlisted that now become cadets into the reserves or National Guard. I can only answer on behalf of Lehigh in that there is no Veterans Community Service bona fide organization, which I'm very disappointed in, and I've relayed that to our president. But we have taken that on as part of our responsibility in the community, and we have formed our Armed Forces Support Club within the Steel Battalion, which includes everybody in the Lehigh Valley. In terms of admissions, Jade, I'd have to hand it over to you.
So we have an individual in our financial office handling the ROTC paperwork regarding the coverage of financial aid, but also yellow ribbon. So we do acknowledge yellow ribbon. There is just an extra step for students to kind of complete that for folks. But outside of that, we don't have any other designated scholarship for that besides the room and board.
Thank you again. I'm going to drop off it with my thanks.
See you, Fred.
See ya. I see Peter there too. Hey, buddy.
How you doing, Fred? Good to see you.
Too.
Anybody else have any questions?
No questions, but a thank you to all of you for your participation. And we look forward to future links. Those of us who are in the original mandatory ROTC program and then chose to go into your junior and senior year, I will say, although I probably won't be able to fill out a questionnaire, the impact of being able to do that was very beneficial in my life. It was not defining for my career. I did the 8 years of mandatory. The timing wasn't right through the Vietnam downsizing, so I didn't have an opportunity I had reserves and everything else. But I just want to give back to you all. It is of great benefit to help mature young people when they start their career, not just in the military, but in their life, so many lessons were learned and take you forward, that regardless of the scholarship, I have always highly recommended it to any student that had the opportunity to join ROTC. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for sharing those words with us.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Janine, Major Dane Hansen had a great comment about mentorship. I was just hoping that Lieutenant Dave Sadvery, you've been very active in mentorship and our mentorship networks. Can you talk a little bit about your experience in mentoring back as a lieutenant and what you received in terms of mentorship from like Dave McGriff going into the force?
Absolutely. I originally came into the Steel Battalion. I was actually torn between Lehigh and Lafayette for the longest time, and obviously made the right choice, thankfully. But one of the main driving factors for me to come join ROTC, specifically at Lafayette, was one of the cadets then at the time, who was also on the track team. So when I came into college, I wanted to run track and cross country as well. It was very appealing to go to Lehigh for ROTC because they were the main host of the ROTC battalion. But thankfully, I went to Lafayette's Accepted Students Day, and that's when I really got to talk to one of the then currently cadets, Dave McGriff. He's a field artillery first lieutenant right now. And he helped persuade me to come to Lafayette because I noticed that he kind of took a lot of Lafayette cadets under his wing. And I thought the branch of cadets over at Lafayette were very close-knit and very involved and invested in the program. He helped mentor me through my 4 years through the program, the 3 that I got to share with him. And then honestly, mentorship was one of the main topics for us when I was a senior. One of the main topics that Lieutenant Colonel Abella helped try to instill in the program and kind of evolve. I'm kind of remiss without mentioning that I actually have a Lehigh alumni from the ROTC program with me right now. Ryan Paradise, class of 2020, is actually stationed at Fort Carson with me, and he's in the same unit, and he's been listening to the call all night. So you might have seen him join before. But
another great battalion commander. Great job.
Yeah. But he's, from what I understand, and maybe I'll let him speak about this, that was something that they tried to continue last year with their program as well, to help develop cadets. And it's kind of timely because we were talking about it when we ran today, because we both ran track and field. We were talking about how we could further build kind of an alumni relation. We were kind of more talking about more soldiers who are especially still in the active Army, because he's going through the in-processing process here at Fort Carson, and the sponsorship program specifically for our unit is currently being reworked because it needs some improvement. And we were wondering if there's a way that if we were able to involve more currently serving members, that we could have like a sponsorship kind of program within the Steel Battalion, so that as people were going to either their first unit or transferring between different units, they had points of contact that also went through the Steel Battalion, and especially who went to Lafayette, who they could reach out to for advice on anything between housing, in processing post, what to expect, and then different things to do around post. But I don't know, do you want to say anything about it? Sure. So I'll turn it over to Ryan Paradise, Lehigh, class of 2020. Please don't boo him off the meeting.
I am happy to say, so I'm Second Lieutenant Ryan Paradise. I just commissioned this last year from the Steel Battalion program. And as David said, I commissioned as an engineer, and I really did kind of follow his path in kind of how he went through ROTC and then went into the engineering regiment. We both ran track and field and cross country, and then I went to Fort Leonard Wood for my basic officer course, just like he did the year prior. And now we are actually roommates, and he's going to continue to be a mentor of mine throughout my time. So I'm happy to say that the mentorship program that we have set in place can cross the Lehigh Lafayette rivalry lines. But like David was saying, that has always been, especially since Lieutenant Colonel Abella has arrived at the Steel Battalion, been a huge part of what we focus on is our cadets in the program and making sure that we take care of them, because they're our most important asset is our people. So mentorship is huge in that, just making sure that when cadets come into the program, that they understand how the program works and what resources they have available to them, and we're helping them through their journey, hoping to earn a commission in the United States Army. So I'll turn it back over to David. I'm sure you've heard enough from my Lehigh mouth, but it was a pleasure talking to all of you. Bye. So, thank you. I will also say, I think one of the other things that we started when Lieutenant Colonel Abella actually took over and Major Waring, was we had a better system of keeping track of records throughout the program. So I believe we started to keep more formal records of AARs, so after action reviews, or kind of lessons learned from every time that we did training. So there's mentorship between persons, but then I think there's also some mentorship between classes, because they have basically a record or a library where they can go back through and they can see what training we've done in the past. And then they should be able to look up AARs to see what the feedback was from that event, what they thought worked well, and what they thought could be improved upon.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I want to say thank you and congratulations to all the fine students, and I salute you and Godspeed.
Thank you. All right, I think we've hit 8:46. I think we'll wrap up for the evening. I do want to remind you of two things, three things actually. Thank you. We will, one, we are recording this, so it will be available later on our website. We'll send you a link in the email that we send to you tomorrow. It probably won't be available for a week because it takes some processing. You will be getting an email tomorrow with a link asking you just to fill out a survey to let us know what you thought of our programming this evening. And in that email, I will provide you with contact information for Jade and Daishan, should you wish to help with the recruitment process or any anything along those lines. So.
Audio's gone.
Lost you.
I'm sorry. There we go. Did you hear anything that I was saying?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, it suddenly muted. I do want to thank Jade and Daishan for taking the time tonight to be part of this presentation. As you all may know, we are deep in admission season, so I know they are constantly reading applications. So I really do appreciate you, the two of you, taking your time. Aiden and Hannah, I also appreciate you taking the time. I know you're on break right now and probably wanting to do other things, so I really appreciate you taking your time, as well as John Abella, Master Sergeant Lanjoda, and Dave and Anna, all of you. And I appreciate as well everyone here who has taken the time out of their evening to join us and hear about the great things happening with ROTC at Lafayette. So with that, I will bid you adieu and wish you all health and happiness in the new year.
Great, thanks. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.